And T3P in the podcast says overreacting a little bit. No, we're not, man. Like, this is not overreaction at all. I mean, this is frustrating for Bears fans. Do I believe that the presence of DJ Moore and additional pass catchers on offense make it easier for Justin Fields to operate? Yes. And this is the impact of the O-line injuries is limited by guys like DJ Moore who can get open quickly and has a good connection with Justin Fields so he can make quick decisions. And has Justin Fields operated in the past with a bad O-line and still made, incredible plays? Yes. But the focus this entire offseason was, let's develop Justin Fields in the pocket. Let's give him some time. We don't want to have him, running around all over the place and having to, run play action every play and just get him out of the pocket. Like, you want to be able to have an offensive line that can protect your quarterback and make sure he's not getting lit up, even if he's getting the ball out in 1.5 seconds. You don't want, Rashawn Gary is even on the Packers anymore. I don't know. You don't want him in his face after 1.5 seconds in week one. So, yes, I'm slightly concerned. And you're also concerned just because Tevin Jenkins is supposed to be a Pro Bowler, and that's not going to happen this year. But
still could. But I agree. I think that this reaction, for the most part, is warranted. Just because, you brought it up, Kevin. We've seen in the past what happens when Justin Fields has defenders in his face right away, and it's more of. And I brought it up earlier in the podcast. Justin Fields' performance this year is critical to how you evaluate the Bears going forward. Yes, there's a lot of hype around the Bears right now. Yes, there's a lot of people on national media and local media saying like, oh, this is where the Bears take a jump. And part of that is because you invested in the offensive line. You were planning to give Justin Fields a continuity and consistency, like you said earlier. And now that's already thrown in the trash. Like, that's already, okay, now we have to piece this together. All right, now we're kind of scrambling a little bit. And if Justin Fields is going to be under pressure constantly right away again, doesn't matter who you have at receiver or tight end or whatever, the weapons around the quarterback, if he has less than a second to make a read or get a throw off, things are going to go pretty poorly. And that's going to reflect poorly, what's the word I'm looking for? Like, that's going to reflect poorly, warranted or not, or fair or not, on Justin Fields.
It will.
And that will then lead to us at the end of the season as a collective saying, all right, well, you probably got to move on from Justin Fields, because even though everything went really, really badly last year, just the timeline doesn't allow for you to wait another year on Justin Fields and trying to find out if he's good. You just got to move on. And that's just not fair to him. That's not great, but that's going to be the reality you're living in if Justin Fields can't have a good situation to perform this year.
I don't think it'll be that bad. I don't think it'll be bad enough to where you're questioning his future with the team at the end of the year.
You're just gonna,
no, we're not. I'm not. And
yes, you aren't. But this year, am I wrong in saying that this year and his performance this year is very critical and very important to how you evaluate Justin Fields' role on the team for the next 5 years?
No, but I don't think it's his role on the team. I think it's his ceiling as a player. His ceiling as a player right now, as we see it, is MVP. And this is the year to maybe not win MVP, but show he's capable of doing that. He got an MVP vote last year. And if he puts up a similar stat line from the year before, then the conversation next year is, well, he can do these things, but he's never going to be the player we thought he would be. Right. At this moment in time, even after the first 2 years, he can still become that player.
And theoretically, if Justin Fields puts up similar numbers to last year, you're probably in a similar draft position.
No. You're not first overall pick. You're probably 5 or 6 wins, but you're in that
1 to 5 range. Right. Like, you're still near the top. You're closer to the top of the draft than you are to the bottom. And that's
I actually wouldn't even say that, because think about how many games they probably win last year in that stretch where they scored like 35 points a game with even a serviceable defense.
That hinges on a lot of that this year is, okay, you're not sure. Like, can you say with certainty that the defense is going to be serviceable this year?
Yes, I can.
Theoretically,
I can. I played with them on Madden last night, Jake. Oh my God.
Okay, again, theoretically, yes. It goes back to the conversation about ceilings. The ceiling is that they're serviceable or better, but we have not seen them in regular game action. Tremaine Edmonds just started practicing this week, and Eddie Jackson is still dealing with an injury today and ramping up. So yeah, theoretically it's a serviceable or better defense, but we don't know that for sure. So if Justin Fields is, destined to put up the same numbers as last year, you're probably near the top of the draft and you have the Carolina pick that you could package to move up for a quarterback possibly. That's the conversation that you're going to be having. And yes, now we could say we're overreacting and we're saying, "Oh my god, you're going to be
Yes,
top
that's an
5 in the draft
overreaction.
because of a
Yes.
couple offensive line injuries." Now we're overreacting. But that is a potential bottom falls out scenario that could happen. Now, there haven't been any regular season games that have been played. There have been no regular season snaps that have been taken. So, yes, now we're projecting a little bit too far. But the point being that the offensive line was worked on this offseason in order to help Justin Fields hopefully take that leap forward and establish himself as a starting quarterback in the NFL. Now that's a little bit more up in the air because you're already onto your backups and reshuffling the offensive line, which isn't a great spot to be in. That's all I'm saying. I digress.
The point is this. The point is less about, the Bears might be in the same position as last year in draft position and move up for a quarterback. All these. The point is, I believe this is a team that can win the division. I believe this is a team that, if got into the playoffs, could make a little bit of noise. I think this is an offense that could propel Justin Fields to be a top 3 MVP candidate, maybe even win the award. Like, these are the expectations I've set for the team. This isn't new. I've set this from the start. I think that Justin Fields is good enough to win that award. I think he's good enough to make this a top 10, top 5 offense with the weapons that they have. The sky is the limit for this offense right now in comparison to what we've seen the past 5 years. And this precludes you from getting to that limit. Does it mean you can still be an above average offense? Yes, you can still be an above average offense without Tevin Jenkins and Darnell Wright for a couple games. That's not preventing that. I'm not worried about that. I just have set the expectations so high for this team and for this offense, and we've gotten so excited and ramped up about it that you are expecting them to be as good as they are, and it's hard for us to expect for them to reach those expectations when you're having injuries like this. That's the way I see it, because I want them to be a top 5 offense. I want Justin Fields to be an MVP candidate, and this is just going to make it a little bit harder for them to do that. It doesn't mean they can't. We're not sitting here today on August 23rd saying the season's done. The offense isn't going to be the same without these two guys. We could be completely wrong. Maybe Lucas Patrick was always going to be a better center. Maybe Cody Whitehair, was better at guard regardless. And Ja'Tyre Carter has really, improved. And Nate Davis is totally healthy and he was never an issue, right? Like, maybe all of these things are true and this is a wash. That's also a possibility that we have to raise. But from what we know right now, it's that this is a reshuffle and it's an offensive line currently constructed that's worse than what you expected it to be week 1. That's all. That's the way we look at it. And you just want to be so excited and you want to go into the season with momentum. I think that's the biggest thing. You want to go into the season full force, full momentum. We got everybody healthy, the way we felt a couple weeks ago, right? I mean, the way we felt after the Carolina game, after the 2 touchdowns of 50 plus yards. And that's why I think the Buffalo game is an opportunity to do that. If they play their starters, is that a great defense? Yes. And could you get in a scenario where you play poorly on offense and then you go into the season with less momentum? Sure. But I do think they need those reps. And if they go one drive down the field, march it down, Justin Fields throws a touchdown to Chase Claypool or DJ Moore, yeah, you're walking into the season feeling pretty damn good about, that game against Green Bay at 325. So they got to play preseason game 3, right? Are you in on that?
Yeah, I think so. I think that was probably the case regardless, just because Matty Eberflus's whole rationale for not playing the starters, or a lot of the starters, namely Justin Fields specifically, of course, but not playing those guys in week 2 was because of the joint practices that you were having with the Colts. And, oh, well, that's just as good. And they're seeing the ones and such. I'll hear the argument for that. You don't have that this week. You're back to practicing with each other. So I would assume you're going to see the starters, and especially now, because to your point, you want to see them get some game action together with this offensive line and with the counts and everything. So I think it makes sense. I will hear the argument from Eberflus. I wouldn't completely dismiss the chance that he says, well, we're happy with what happened in practice this week. That's a possibility. It just, especially because, you can't rule out the threat of more injuries in a preseason game right before the season. So I would hear the argument for sitting the guys. just because you feel like they had a good week of practice. So that makes sense to me as well.